Hey, it's DJ Karaba, and watch more to find out why I love Janet Jackson so much.
We are so excited to welcome to the Kelly Alexander Show a Juno-nominated recording artist from Montreal, Quebec, DJ Karaba, who is nominated for her phenomenal song called Mad Mess. Karaba, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I also have to mention right off the hop that you are a very talented dancer and you've danced for Drake and Camila Cabello and Selena Gomez, and we're going to talk about all that. And we also have a surprise for the people who like to watch the show about who your favorite musical artist is. So we're going to get to that in just a sec. But I have to ask you right off the top, how did you get your start in music? And were your parents like supportive right from the beginning?
Um, well, I think just as a little kid, I was a huge fan of music and in like all genres. Like my mom was like really into Motown, so like Marvin Gaye and all that. And then my dad was like more into like African, like Congolese music. But then together they also have like a passion for like French music. So it was like a melting pot of music that I grew up with. And that in myself, like I was a huge fan of like Daft Punk and like all like the French house scene. So I was just always a huge fan of music, but it started as far as like professional, like being a DJ and all that when I think it was in 2016. And I only told them about me wanting to be a DJ in 2019. And I feel like my dad was like, oh yeah, like if you did what you did in dance, like you got this. But then my mom was like kind of skeptical, which I understand. Like, she was like, well, you're this like really successful dancer. Why would you go into something else and start her over? But I guess I proved her wrong and I was like, just trust me, I got this.
That's amazing. So let's talk about the dance career. Um,
Yeah.
so tell us how you got into dance and then why you decided to make that move to first New York and then Los Angeles.
I started dancing when I was 7 when we moved to Canada. Because yeah, I was shy, but I had a lot of energy. And so my parents were like, we're gonna put you in dance. So and then I think yeah, I was 7 and I already knew. I was like, I want to be a dancer. My teacher would ask me like, what do you want to be? And I was like, I want to be a professional dancer. And she was just like, don't you want to be a teacher? Like whatever. And I was like, no, I want to be a dancer. So I feel like as a little girl, I always knew I wanted to be a dancer. And then when I turned 19, yeah, when I turned 19, sorry, sometimes it's just a lot in my head. But I decided to move to New York because I really wanted to, be a professional dancer. At that time, I was doing like school and like dance, and I feel like I wasn't too focused on school. So then I was like, you know what? I'm done with CJEP. I'm gonna go right into dancing, and then that's how it started. And then I decided to move to New York first, and then to LA.
What is the difference in your mind between being a dancer in New York versus Los Angeles?
I feel like when you're in New York, it's definitely more Broadway driven and like underground scene for like hip hop dancer. Because obviously that's where, hip hop was born. So I feel like that's really what is in the forefront. But I do know a lot of dancers and I have friends that are just like, no, like we're still doing commercial work in New York and that works for them. But I feel like that's for New York. LA is definitely like the place if you want to do like any type of work when it comes to movies, a music video, award shows, tours, like that's really the commercial work scene where you want to be if that's the type of work you want to do.
Can you talk to us about going to Los Angeles? Because I don't know if you had contacts there already, but I've heard that sometimes, um, you know, the scene can be pretty insular and it's hard to break in.
Mhm.
Is that true or not?
It is. At that time for me, I had done this convention called Monsters of Hip Hop. That is like a dance convention that goes around the States and around some states in Canada. So I had made some friends that were Americans and also made some relationships with choreographers. And then so that allowed me when I moved to LA to have already those connections. But I know also people have different experiences where they move to LA and they're just like they feel very alone because it is a very um specific place, right? People move there because everyone has a dream and everyone's just so focused. So sometimes it's kind of hard to make friends because everyone is just there to make their dreams happen, and that's fine. But yeah, it could be hard at some point, even if you know people and even if you're working, you kind of feel alone sometimes. Yeah.
How quickly did you get your break in Los Angeles? Like, was it fairly quickly?
It was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It took a month, and then after a month, I remember I bought like unlimited class card at ML Studio. And then I took classes every day and I was going to every auditions and I was like, I'm gonna book a job. And then I think after, yeah, a month or two, I was like on a job. And then I feel like in LA, whenever you book one job and it's a big job, then everyone's like start talking and then it just, goes and you're like, oh, okay, I'm in this other job and it's other job. So yeah.
Who was the first job?
It was the Latin Billboard Music Awards with Ricky Martin, and it was in Miami. It was my first time going to Miami. I was so excited. And it was like a nice group of people. And then my friend Daniel Dory, who's also a professional dancer from Montreal, we booked it together. And he's like, he used to be my teacher in Montreal. So for me to be on this job with him was just, I was like, oh my God, this is so nice. So yeah, it was a really cool job. I liked it. Yeah.
It's really interesting that you said that once you book one, then you kind of start to get known by other choreographers. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I think as viewers, if you are a fan of dance like I am, I often
Mhm.
see the same dancers with different artists doing the Billboard Awards or doing the American Music Awards or the Grammys. So I think a lot of people talk, especially if you show up and do your job well.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about like how yeah, it's all about being professional. It's all about like keeping those connections. It's all about like showing up to classes. And then I think choreographers like if most of the time they have their little clique of dancers that they like that do their style really well. And I feel like that's when they don't really like they have auditions to have other people, but of course like they have their core dancers that they really like. And I feel like if you're a part of like a choreographer like circle, then I feel like you're good, you're set because that choreographer is gonna keep calling you and be like, hey, I have this job, I have this job. So it's definitely, I feel like most of the time that's how it works. Yeah.
Can you tell us what the most fulfilling job was for you, like in dance, like which artist it was for, and tell us why it was so fulfilling?
Oh my God. Definitely it has to be Selena for sure. I think that tours are very like complicated when it comes to like friendships and like people because people think that like most of the job is being on stage, but that's really like 10% of the job, to be honest. The rest is like tour bus, traveling, airplanes, eating together. So you have to be with a group of people that is like really like really nice and like really out there and wants to do stuff with you because we have so much time together. And that tour was so nice because we were like this really tight group of people that we did escape rooms together. We would go out every night. We went to Asia. We would try new restaurant. Like, and it was like all of us. We were 9 dancers and even the band usually, like, you have the band members that like doing their thing, but they were still with us. And Selena was a really, really nice boss. Like she was really sweet. And I still have friendships from that tour. And it's been like 8 years now. And just thinking about it, like I was in Switzerland last week. Last week with one of the guy that danced with me on Selena, and we did a podcast and we talked about it. And we're like, yo, it's 8 years and we're still friends. And I come to Switzerland to see you. So like yeah, I'm talking a lot, but it's just like it's mind blowing. It was such a beautiful tour. I'll remember for the rest of my life. Yeah.
I want to get to your music career in just a second, but I did want to
Yeah.
ask you, now that you're out of dance in a way, like you're not, you're focusing on your artist career, is there an
Yeah.
artist that you wish you had a dance for and haven't done it yet or haven't had the chance? And if you do have the chance, would you go do it?
An artist. That's what you, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, there's two actually that were always on my list, and I wished. First of all, it's Katy Perry. I did a music video for her, called "This Is How We Do." It was like one of my first big music video. But I would have loved to be a Katy Perry like dancer on tour. Like, I love the Teenage Dream tour. I love like the props, like her world and all that. It's so fun. And not gonna lie, Taylor Swift, I would have loved to do as well because it's like a big production. She takes care of her dancers. She's like, I don't know, like I love like those big pop artists because you really get to be a character as a dancer and like really dance and have costumes and all that. So, but to answer the question, no, I would not go back to that because I'm good. My heart is fulfilled and I'm okay with being just watching the show and be like, oh, this is great. I love it.
That's amazing. I'm glad you've come to that position where you're okay with it because I've spoken to other dancers who have moved on who are obviously very happy with what they're doing now, but sometimes
Yeah.
they'll be like, "Oh, I wish I could jump up on stage and have some fun up there." So that's really cool. And I have to
Yeah.
ask you, which choreographers did you like working with the most during your time in dance in Los Angeles?
Which choreographer? Oh my God, it's so I don't know. Wow. I'm trying to think because it's like it's very I don't know. I think it would have to be um Eden Chaptai. She used to choreograph for Chris for a certain time, and then Chris Brown, and then we worked a lot together on different project. And I have a soft spot for Eden because she really gave me a spot when it was in my beginning years, and I was still trying to build my name, and she kind of took me under her and brought me in, and we're still talking to this day, and she was really nice to me. So yeah, I think it would be her for sure. Yeah.
Tell us the time that you made the decision to become an artist. Like, why did you make that decision and not stick with dance?
Think I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I've done it. It was like 2018 at that point, and I had done like 4 tours. I was like, my biggest dream was to be on tour. And I was like, I want to be on tour. I want to be on tour. And I was like, okay, well, I've done it. So what's next? I didn't want to be a choreographer. I didn't want to be a dance teacher. And I think also, to be super honest, at some point, as an artist, you kind of want to, that's how I felt. Like people have different point of view, but you kind of want to express yourself through your art, and quite frankly, to kind of be in the forefront, because I love being a backup dancer, and that was my whole life, and that was great to like be there for the artist. But I think inside me, I had this like burning sensation of like, I have a lot to offer, and I feel like I'm kind of restrained to what I can do in my art. And I want to just push that forward. And I think that all those feelings just came up, and I was like, I think it's time for me to hang my dancing shoes.
And so why did you decide to become like a DJ and producer?
I was always the girl that was like playing like music on the tour bus, like having playlists and be like, hey, like I remember before the show, like I would always like I would run into like the arena with like my speaker, like to get people ready, like listen to this music. Like I was always that person. And then also my years in LA when I was a dancer, I discovered like the underground scene with like the DJs and all that, and I really loved it. I was like, oh wow, this is really cool. So um, I think it was just natural. Well, you add the fact that also like I'm a huge music lover. I was just like I really want to do it, and then at that time, like it was when I started to make that decision. I think people like Peggy Goo and like Jada G were like kind of like in the forefront of female DJ, what there still are, but that really inspired me to be in that position, because I was like, oh, there's like actually female DJs, you know? So yeah.
And when you started, like, what were the biggest challenges to like learn the craft?
Um, Well, the biggest challenges, I think, weren't so much about learning the craft, because it's like I already have the rhythm. So for me, it was like kind of easy. Like obviously, like mixing on beat and finding like how you find the BPM, which is a beat per music. I think the challenges for me personally were more into entering a space where it's very male dominant, when me as a female dancer never had to really face these kind of situations. Where as a dancer, for me, like audition is like a bunch of other girls, and then we're looking at ourselves in the mirror and then all that. But then when I switched, I was like, oh, okay, like just no girls, just all male, like engineer, like everyone's just, yeah, it's a man's world. And I think that has been my struggle. Where now I think it's getting better, but for sure, like it was a big shock for me that I didn't really think about when I did the move. Yeah.
And can you talk to us about yeah, like being a black woman and like from Canada and how that's going? Like obviously like things are going well because you've got a Juno nomination, which we're going to talk about, and you have like tons of social media followers, and again, you're a brand ambassador. But like do you think that like people coming up behind you, like other females, other black women are heading into a better situation than maybe you did 6 years ago?
I think so, for sure. I would hope so. I think that there's like way more DJs, female DJs now, maybe I think the black female DJs are not in the forefront, like at the higher level. The first name that I think about now is Honey Dijon, which I'm a huge fan of. But I'm not seeing other female DJs at that level when it comes to being black. But when you think more of like maybe at a smaller scale, there are very like there's a bunch of female DJs, black female DJs. So I think that like it's gonna take a couple of years to like grow into like the higher scale. But I think that just seeing like more, because it's all about, visual and seeing people, then that's gonna bring more Black female DJs in the forefront. And I hope that somehow I can help the next generation at just by doing what I'm doing for sure.
How would you describe your sound? And do you think it's evolving? Like, are you still trying to find where you're going?
Yeah, I did in the first pass, no, in the, sorry, I did like before when I was like doing like the first EP Délivrance and then the second EP Souvenir. I feel like this year, 2024, I kind of like finding my pocket of what I want to do. And it feels really great because I'm like, I feel like I've arrived. Like my new single actually just came out today. It's called Kokoma, and it means the arrival in Lingala, which is the language from my dad, where he's from in the Congo. And I called it the arrival because that's how I feel with my music right now. I feel like I've arrived and I'm making a sound that is like really pure to like who I am and what I want to sound. And of course, like maybe in 10 years from now, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, like I can't believe I made this. But right now, I'm like really proud of where I am in the production side of it. So yeah.
Who's your favorite artist of all time? And do you think they influence the music that you produce?
Mm. Sorry, the sound. It's just so hard, but definitely Janet Jackson. People don't know this, but I'm a huge like pop fan. Like I love pop music. Like I know I make like electronic music and all that, but I love pop music. And I love also how like back in the days it was like longer tracks and the whole like yeah, Janet like what have you done for me lately? Like all her songs and the music video, like right? Like the way she would like tell a story with like her visuals, and all her tours are just like super nice, like the All For You tour and all that. Like she has influenced me for sure. And also as a performer because she's just an amazing, I think she's one of the best, to be honest. But yeah, definitely Janet Jackson.
We have to talk about your Juno nomination. And for our friends that are watching this in the States or overseas, the Juno Awards are basically Canada's version of the Grammys. So it's a big deal. And so tell us about, getting the nomination, where you were when you found out, and what it means to you.
Well, first I got a text that said that I was invited to the nominations ceremony nomination. So I was like with my business manager, we're like, we have to go to Toronto, we have to go. And then so we went to Toronto. But yeah, they can't tell you that you're nominated, so you're just invited. So you're like, oh, I might just show up and not be nominated. That would be weird. So it was kind of very stressful because I was like, oh my God, what if I'm not nominated? And then so we got there. It was really nice. We met other talented artists, obviously. And then you watch the screen, and then it just goes into like those different categories. And then finally, it was like Underground Single of the Year, and my name was there, and I was just like, wow, like it's kind of like a surreal like moment because I think that I'm still in the beginning of my career when it comes to being a producer, but to be recognized by the Junos, for me it's like a big thing. And it also, I know it's like awards and all that, but it just reinforces that I'm doing the right thing and it's being recognized. And I think especially in this category, as a Black female who a musician who does electronic music, I think that says a lot. In that to go back to our conversation, I think and I hope it will like really push um the next generation to really go into that journey of making electronic music.
What do you have planned when you go? Because you're going to go to the ceremony in Halifax. So
Yes.
who's going with you, and what are you wearing?
I'm going with my business manager, Oko. I'm going with my best friend, Steven, who's going to do my makeup. And I actually don't know yet what I'm wearing. I had a meeting yesterday to like kind of like do like a blueprint, like a kind of like a vibe of what I want to wear. So we're still building it, but I definitely like want like a showstopper outfit that is going to be like, ça c'est Karaba. So yeah, we're working on it, but I mean, I love fashion, so I'm sure I'm gonna like show up and just hopefully yeah, have some nice pictures and people are gonna be like, oh, this is a nice outfit.
Talk to us about the social media influence that you have, because again, you have like tons and tons of followers. You also have over 16 million views on YouTube, which is incredible. So, do you feel a responsibility, you know, because on some way you are probably someone that people look up to, for sure you are. And so do you feel like a responsibility to your followers, and do you love connecting with them on social media?
Yeah, I do definitely feel a responsibility. And I also love connecting with people because it's not just people. At first, I thought I was just reaching to Canada, but then, we did some digging, and obviously you look at the comments and all that. And then you see that there's people from all around the world, and it's great. It's really amazing. Like it's an amazing feeling. I think that one of the video that really like blew up, that I think now has 7 million views, like that video itself brought me to Morocco, which I had never been to, North Africa, Africa alone. So, and then I got to talk to the people, and then I was like, oh, like, how did you find out? And they were like, that video. And I was like, really? They were like, yeah, this video, it really inspired us. So, I think it's a great feeling, and I'm really thankful. I use social media to connect with people, and it's working for me, and I really love that. And it's yeah, it's kind of crazy when I think about. I know numbers and all that are big, but for me, it's really about like the message being like spread and touching people with music. So I'm super thankful of the outcome of how social media have shown up for me. Yeah.
What is up next for you for the rest of the year? Like, do you plan to drop a bunch more music? Are you heading out on tour? What's happening with you?
So more music for sure. I definitely want to put another EP out this year. So we're looking into that. More show dates for sure. Probably going back to Europe and in North America as well in the summer. And then would love to go to Africa again. So more of that, more content. Obviously, I love to do those the live session where I have a musician with me and like I play a DJ. So like more content, more music, and then more touring for this year. We continue to build, and obviously the Juno in March. Yeah.
I have a couple of quick questions to wrap up the interview. If you could switch places with any artist for one day, who would it be and why?
Um does that artist can be alive, or it has
Yeah,
like
or yeah,
or
or dead.
dead?
Like you could have, yeah, no problem.
It's because yesterday I watched Bob Marley's movie, and I kind of cried, and it was like very moving for me, this movie. So I'd love to for one day be in his shoes and just feel what he felt like, because for me it's just a huge artist that left such, I mean, he left a genre behind him, and his legacy is still alive, like almost several years, like, and so I would love to exchange with him for a day and just feel like how he felt on stage, because also his performance of stage are just like so moving. So it would be Bob Marley for sure.
Who is the coolest person in your phone?
Oh my God. Not like that. I don't have like cool people on my phone. That's a good question. What?
Like if you could just call or text somebody right now that like that people watching this interview would know. Like, can you text Selena?
No, I cannot text Selena, sadly. I know I can DM Drake because we follow each other. I think but I don't have his number, sadly.
That's
But
cool enough. That's
that would
pretty
be the
awesome.
closest. Yeah, yeah,
That's pretty awesome if you can DM Drake and for sure he'd answer you. That's amazing.
yeah.
What's always in your fridge?
What's always a ketchup? I'm a huge ketchup fan. I can't live without ketchup, but I don't like ketchup chips.
Okay, that's hilarious. When you are in LA and you've been there for a while, what thing do you miss the most from Canada? Like, is it Oreo cookies? Like, I don't know. What do you miss?
Poutine for sure. Haitian food, my friends, speaking French. Yeah, just so many. Taking the le métro, taking the train. Yeah, I'm such a Montrealer. I love my city. Like I cannot spend too much time away from Montreal. I really love it. I'm a fan.
That is perfect. I wish more, I think a lot of people do feel that way because I even moved home from Toronto because I
Yeah,
was like, it's time. But that's amazing. I think Montreal is a special vibe, that's for sure. And
yeah.
what message do you have for your fans and new fans who are going to find you through this interview?
Oh my God. Wow. I don't know. Just a welcome to my artistry, and I hope you love this. Like if you dig deeper, you're gonna find so many things that you're gonna find out about me. So I hope you enjoy the music and the content because it's all there for you.
Amazing. Karaba, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Don't forget to check her out, djkaraba.com. And of course, you can check her out at the Juno Awards at the end of the month. Hey, it's Kelly, and I just want to take a moment to thank you so much for all of the support that you continue to show The Kelly Alexander Show and our latest program, Just Dance, that I co-host with award-winning choreographer Tina Landon. We've been having so much fun on Just Dance, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. We've done interviews with Brian and Scott Nicholson, who work with Ariana Grande, RJ and Nick, who work with Pink and Katy Perry, Luther Brown, who works with our girl Janet Jackson, and the list goes on and on. And we also have many surprises coming for you in this coming year. So please sign up and join us to have lots of fun. hy.page/Kelly Alexander Show, our YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/Kelly Alexander Show, and our newsletter, which is kellyalexandershow.com/subscribe.